QST, QST, QST. This is Dave, KC1NOC, Net Control Operator for this evening's edition of the 9H-HAM GlobalNet, originating from the Maltese Islands. Is there any emergency traffic before the net? Please call now. Okay, once again, since there's no emergency traffic, this is Dave, KC1NOC, Net Control Operator for this evening's edition of the 9H-HAM GlobalNet, originating from the Maltese Islands. This net meets every 2 weeks on Thursday at 8 p.m. Central European Time to discuss topics related to amateur radio and the island's ham radio clubs. This is a directed net, and all traffic should go through net control. I'd like to give a special thanks to 9 Hotel 1 Sierra Fox Stephen and 9 Hotel 5 Fox Alpha Anthony for making this possible. To 9 Hotel 5 Sierra November Marco and 9 Hotel 1 Golf Papa Mark for allowing the use of the 9H1 UHF-R repeater. To Antone 9H1 United Sierra and Herbert 9 Hotel 1 Delta Hotel for allowing the use of the 9H1 DMR-R repeater, and to 9 Hotel 5 Yankee Victor Glenn for allowing us to use the same branding as the 9 Hotel Ham Radio Facebook page, which he administers. Okay, the agenda for tonight's net will be check-ins, announcements, a general discussion, and Newsline Ham Radio. That will be after the net on the YouTube channel, which I will announce a little bit later. The discussion topic for tonight will be HT programming with code plugs, software for different types of radios, Chinese radios, etc. And the host of that will be Anthony, 9 Hotel 5 Fox Alpha. This is Net Control, KC1NOC. Throughout our check-ins and throughout the net, I will pause periodically for any late check-ins. Alrighty, let's start the 9H1 Ham Global Net. I will now take check-ins from any and all stations. Please give your call sign and name and repeat your call sign phonetically. And please leave a 5-second pause between each call sign and check-ins. That way it gives me a chance to write, and it gives all our repeaters and whatnot a chance to catch up. Okay, all stations with any and all call signs, please call now.
This is KM4 PPV Kilowatt Mike 4 Papa Victor South in Richmond, Kentucky.
This is 9 Hotel 1 Sugar Fox, 9 Hotel 1 Sugar Fox, and the operator is Stephen. Operator name is Stephen.
In and out, Dave. Over to you.
This is 9 Hotel 1 Fox Bravo Sierra. 9 Hotel 1 Fox Bravo Sierra. Name is Charles.
This is 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Alpha. The name is Anthony. from the island of Malta.
Okay, this is KC1, NOC, Net Control. So far on the check-ins, I have Kilo Mike 4, Papa Victor Sal. I have 9 Hotel 1, Sierra Fox Stephen. There was a station that came in after Stephen that kind of doubled. I apologize. I missed you. If you'll check in on the next round, be glad to get you. 9 Hotel 1 Fox Bravo Sierra Charles, and 9 Hotel 5 Fox Alpha Anthony. Any more stations to check in? Please call now.
G0BIA.
Kilo 4, Romeo Juliet Charlie. Chris in Eastern North Carolina, please check me in and out, Dave.
This is 9 Hotel 1 Tango Lima. 9 Hotel 1 Tango Lima. My name is Chris. I'm on the stand. Thank you very much. Over.
November 7, Alpha Papa Whiskey.
Okay, I have K4RJC, Chris, checked in and out. I have 9 Hotel 1 Alpha Lima. I'm sorry, 9 Hotel 1 Alpha Lima. There was a bit of static in the background. I did not copy your name. Then I have November 7 Alpha Papa Whiskey, Jerry. Jerry, if you copied that 9 Hotel 1 Alpha Lima station, if you could give me the name, please, it would be much appreciated. This is KC1, NOC, Net Control Station for this evening's edition of the 9 Hotel of GlobalNet.
Okay, very good, Dave. His name is Chris, and you also checking in today was Golf 0 Bravo India Alpha. Golf 0 Bravo India Alpha. And I'll pass it back to you, Net Control.
QSL, Jerry, thank you for that. I have a 9 Hotel 1 Alpha Lima Chris and Golf 0 Bravo India Alpha. Okay, any more check-ins for the 9H-HAM GlobalNet? Please call now.
David, correction.
Station with the correction, please go ahead.
This is 9H1FBS. The station was calling was 9H1 Tango Lima. 9H1 Tango Lima. Roger?
QSL Charles, and I thank you for that very much. Okay, let's move on. Any further check-ins? This is KC1, NOC. Please call now.
This is 9 Hotel 1 Sugar Fox returning again. Just to let you know, the members are on the chat link on Jitsi. There's Anthony, as you know already. There's Jonathan Galia. I repeat, Jonathan Galia, shortwave listener. There's 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Mike by the name of Francis. 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Mike. And there's also 9 Hotel 1 Mike Delta. 9 Hotel 1 Mike Delta by the name of Mario. Mario is his name. So that is at the present time who is on the Jitsi chat page. Microphone back to you, Net Controller.
Okay, very good, and thank you for that, and thank you for the members on Jitsi that are joining in. I have 9 Hotel 5 Fox Mike Francis, 9 Hotel 1 Fox Delta Mario. If I missed anything else, you can let me know. Alrighty, any more check-ins for the 9H-HAM GlobalNet? Please call now.
The correction there with the last call sign you said it was 9 Hotel 1 Mexico Delta, 9 Hotel 1 Mike Delta for Mario there. And obviously there's also Anthony with us here on the page as well. Microphone back to you, net controller.
Yeah, QSL on that. I made the correction. 9 Hotel 1 Mike Delta Mario. 9 Hotel 1 Mike Delta. And yes, I have also logged in Anthony. Thank you very much for that. Your help is much appreciated. I don't have the greatest connection here on Echolink, so thanks for giving me a hand. Alrighty, this is KC1 NOC Dave, Net Control Station, for this evening's edition of the 9H-HAM GlobalNet. I'm ready for more check-ins. Please leave a 5-second pause between call signs, and please call now. Any further check-ins?
KC1 NOC, please check in by proxy. K4UNI Kilo 4 Uniform November India. In and out, please.
Okay, very good. I have another check-in, K4UNI Rachel by proxy. Thank you for the check-in. Any further check-ins, please call now. Okay, this is KC1 NOC Net Control Station for this evening's edition of the 9H-HAM GlobalNet. What I'm going to do now is run down the list of check-ins in order of the check-ins. And Jerry, if you find any check-ins that I have missed, please let me know about that. Alrighty, as far as check-ins, I have Kilo Mike 4, Papa Victor, Sal. I have 9 Hotel 1, Sierra Fox Stephen. I have 9 Hotel 1, Fox Bravo Sierra Charles. I have 9 Hotel 5, Fox Alpha Anthony. I have K4 RJC Chris, who checked in and out. I have 9 Hotel 1, Tango Lima, Chris. I have you, Jerry, November 7, Alpha Papa Whiskey. I have Golf 0, Bravo India Alpha, and I did not catch his name. I have, let's see, I got 9H1SF. I have 9 Hotel 5, Fox Mike Francis. I have 9 Hotel 1, Mike Delta Mario. And I have check-in and check-out of K4 UNI Rachel. KC1 NOC to N78PW. Is there anyone I missed, Jerry? Go ahead.
You got them all, Dave, and 7APW.
Okay, Jerry, and thank you very much for that. This is Dave, KC1 NOC, tonight's net control operator for the 9H-HAM GlobalNet. What I'm going to do now is I'll run through each station in order of check-ins to see if they have any announcements or anything they would like to give, or maybe they just want to say hello. So I'll start it off, and I'll say for those of you that don't know me and haven't met me, my name is Dave. I am located, or my QTH is a little town called Sherman, Maine, in the United States. I'm roughly about 45 miles or so south of the Canadian border. So anyways, that's a little bit about me, and I'll move down the list now. And I will pause periodically to see if there's any further check-ins. So let's go to Kilo Mike 4, Papa Victor. Sal, good evening to you. Do you have any announcements or anything you'd like to say, or just hello? Please go now, Sal.
C1 NOC from KM4 PPV. Thank you so much, Dave, for picking me up, and thank you so very, very much for running this evening's net from Malta. No, the only thing I got is I am in my QTH is in Richmond, Kentucky, the U.S., and currently it's 75 degrees and cloudy skies. We had rain this morning. You did mention Maine, and I was just wondering, Dave, how far you were from New Brunswick, Canada, because years ago I had an exercise with the military, with the Canadians across the border there in New Brunswick. So you're probably not too far from Holton, Maine. That's where we stood one evening, and then we went into New Brunswick to have this exercise. So, but anyways, thank you so much, Dave, for running the net, and I'll turn it back to you. KC1 NOC from KM4 PPV.
KM4 PPV. Sal, well, thank you very much for that, Sal. Holton, Maine. I am on the I-95 corridor. I'm about 45 miles south of Holton, and then, of course, as you know, New Brunswick is right there across the border. So, yeah, well, that's nice, and thank you for your service, Sal, and also thank you very much for your comments. Alrighty, I'm going to move on to 9 Hotel 1 Sierra Fox. Stephen, good evening to you, sir. Anything you'd like to say to the net? Go ahead.
Good evening, Dave. Thank you very much for tonight being the net controller. As you know, my name is Stephen, and hello to everyone and good evening. And tonight's presentation will be very interesting there. As everyone should know, it's about programming handhelds and glow plugs and different types of software and whatever. So we will see how it will go on there. But it seems to be there's a nice number of people here on the net tonight. So microphone back to you, net controller, and thank you once again.
9 Hotel 1 Sierra Fox. Okay, Stephen, thank you very much for that. And yes, I'm looking forward to that presentation myself. I'm going to just take a brief pause here to see if we have any check-ins that were missed or late check-ins. This is KC1 NOC Net Control Station for this evening's edition of the 9 Hotel GlobalNet. If we have any further check-ins, please call now. Okay, next on the list we have Charles, 9 Hotel 1, Fox Bravo Sierra. Good evening to you, Charles. It's been a long time since we had a QSO. Good to see you on the net, Charles. Tell us what's going on.
Okay, KC1NOC 9H-1FBS with the group, with the 9H-HAM GlobalNet. What's going on? Nothing really exciting. It was about 25 or 26 degrees centigrade today, about 78, 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Very nice warm day. And of course, we have quite a number of people who are going to the seaside, which is never too far away from here, from any part of Malta, and having a nice dip in the Mediterranean. Nothing else to add. Do hope you have a nice weekend. We have a holiday on Monday, a local public holiday, and I'm sure that many people will take the occasion to get out and go to the seaside and enjoy themselves. Anyway, back to you, and I'll just stand by for the net. 9H-1FBS to KC1NOC net control.
Very good, Charles. 9H-1FBS. Well, I tell you, I wish I was over there on that beach. I went to Florida, as you know, a couple of weeks ago to visit Mom and Sis, and it was too hot to go to the beach for me. 95 degrees, big humidity. I'm not used to that, being here in northern Maine. I like weather that's 40 and 50 degrees. Alrighty, moving on, next on the list is 9 Hotel 5 Fox Alpha, Anthony. And Anthony, I'm looking forward to your presentation, which we'll get to in a little bit. But in the meantime, do you have any other announcements or anything that you'd like to tell the net? Go ahead.
KC1NOC. This is 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Alpha. Thank you, first of all, for hosting the night tonight. I do have 2 short announcements. One of them is that we might be having issues with relaying this net to door group 2780 on DMR outside of Malta. So in Malta, whichever repeater you're connected to or where you're connected to Echolink, the net is coming through fine on door group 2780 on our local 9H1 DMR repeater. However, I was being told that this may not be the case abroad, especially in the US. So that might be something we need to look into. Second thing is that on the Facebook pages, every time we post a promo and an advert for the next net, in the text there is a link which anyone can click and add his name to a list. Now this list is not a spam list, it's not a mailing list. If anyone wants to add his name there, the only thing that can happen is that about 1 day or 2 days before net, he or she will receive an automated calendar invite with the time of the net and details of the net. You can also unsubscribe if you... So this is something I do manually. Till the last 2 weeks, there haven't been any additional registrations, but it's an open system, and one can register or register. Thank you, KC1NOC. This is 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Alpha. Back to net control.
Okay, very good, Anthony. 9 Hotel 5, Foxtrot Alpha. Thank you so much for that information. Wish I could add to it a little bit, but that technical aspect of getting the DMR talk groups linked up and Echolink, that's way over my head. I'm still in the learning process with that. But thanks, Anthony, for letting everyone know. This is KC1 NOC, Net Control Operator, for tonight's edition of the 9H-HAM GlobalNet. I'm going to pause for a minute and see if we have any further check-ins. Anybody that would like to check in, please call now. Alrighty, sorry for the delay, but gave the repeater a little bit of time to identify itself. Anyways, next on the list was K4RJC Chris, but he checked in and out. So we'll move on to 9 Hotel 1 Tango Lima, Chris. Good evening, Chris. Anything you'd like to announce or just say hi to everyone on the net? Go ahead.
NOC, this is 9 Hotel 1 Tango Lima. Thank you, Dave, for running this net, and thank you, 9H1 SBS Charles, for inviting me to this event. Hello to everyone. I have nothing particular to report. I'm eager for this opportunity to learn, and I'll be mostly standing by. Thank you very much.
9 Hotel 1 Tango Lima. Chris, well, thank you very much for joining the net tonight, and we hope to hear you on every 2 weeks. It's always good to hear new check-ins, so thank you again. Next on the list, November 7, Alpha Papa Whiskey, Jerry, and for anybody that doesn't know, Jerry is my good friend. He brought me to this net and introduced me to all of the wonderful people over in Malta. He is also my Elmer, and I thank him for everything that he has taught me and contributed to this 9H-HAM GlobalNet. Jerry, microphone to you, my friend.
Okie dokie, Dave. Thank you for that. Unexpected, but always nice. KC1NOC on the 9H-HAM GlobalNet, November 7, Alpha Papa Whiskey. Good afternoon to everybody. I envy your temperatures on Malta this evening. It is approximately 32 degrees Celsius here in Sheridan, Wyoming. And although we're pretty darn close to the Canadian border, about 300 miles to the Canadian border, the temperature in the next few days is going to be in the 90s Fahrenheit or above 32, 33 degrees Celsius. And no beach. What can I say? We have mountains and we have snow, but we have no beach. We do have lakes, though, so I can't complain too much. Just an announcement for everybody. If anybody is interested in giving net control a shot, please give me your information, or please let me know, or please let Stephen, 9H1SF, or Anthony know, 9H5FA. My email is correct on QRZ.com. And I'd be more than happy to talk to you about it, and if you feel that it's appealing, I will be more than happy to coach you if you wish, and I will be more than happy to sit by on my comfortable chair and listen to you be net control. Again, thank you, Dave, for taking up the net this evening. Very good job. No, he's an American call sign. KC1NOC with the group and the net, November 7, Alpha Papa Whiskey.
Okay, Jerry. Well, thank you for your compliments, and thank you again for all your help. You are a great asset in my list of assets. Alrighty, I'm going to pause again. Excuse me, everybody. I just want to make sure that in case we have any late check-ins, that they do get checked in. So this is KC1 NOC Dave, Net Control Station for tonight's edition of the 9H-HAM GlobalNet. If there's anybody else that would like to check in, please call now. Okay, moving along on the list, the next is Gulf Zero Bravo India Alpha, and I gotta apologize to you. I did not catch your name, or I didn't write it down. So please introduce yourself with your name, any announcements, or if you just want to say hi, microphone to you. Okay, nothing heard from Gulf Zero Bravo India Alpha. If you want to chime in a little bit later, just give us a call. Next on the list, 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Mike. Francis, good evening to you, Francis. Anything you'd like to contribute to the net, please call now.
Okay, Dave. Good evening to you, my friend. From my side. Yes, I've been here every fortnight, and it will be interesting. But I'll stay listening. Sometimes I prefer to stay listening. With that, I can learn more. QSL, Dave?
Nine Hotel 5 Foxtrot Mike. Thank you very much for that. It's no problem with listening. I do a lot of listening myself. I also like to learn things, and my father told me a long time ago, you'll learn a lot more if you keep your mouth shut and listen. So I've learned to become a good listener. Thank you for that input, and thanks for joining the net. I hope I didn't mess something up here, but I believe... did I get the call signs messed up? Was that 9 Hotel 1 Mike Delta, or was that 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Mike? Go ahead.
Okay, Dave. 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Mike. 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Mike. My name is Francis Foxtrot Romeo Alpha November Charlie India Sierra. Is it a Roger, Dave?
QSL there, Francis. I got you now. 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Mike. My apologies, sir. Can't read my own writing. Anyways, thanks for joining the net. And yeah, I know about the listening thing. I do a lot of that. Alrighty, last but not least, 9 Hotel 1 Mike Delta. Mario, good evening to you, sir. Anything you'd like to add or tell us about? Microphone to you, sir. Okay, nothing heard from 9 Hotel 1 9 Hotel 1 Mike Delta. Nothing heard. I'm going to pause one more time for late check-ins, and then we're going to go over to Anthony, 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Alpha, for his presentation. So, this is KC1 NOC Net Control Station for this evening's edition of the 9H-HAM GlobalNet. If there's any further check-ins, please call now. This is KC1 NOC Net Control Station for this evening's edition of the 9 Hotel 1 Global Net, or 9 Hotel Global Net. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the microphone over to Anthony, 9 Hotel 5 Fox Alpha. He's going to give us a presentation on HT programming, about code plugs, software, different types of radios. So I'm going to turn net control over to Anthony and all the different stations that have checked in. If you have any questions or any comments, please direct your traffic to Anthony, 9 Hotel 5 Fox Alpha. Anthony, good evening to you, sir, and you can begin your presentation. This is KC1 NOC.
KC1 NOC Net Control. Thank you very much. This is 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Alpha. What I plan to do is, rather than sort of give some presentation on sort of several technicalities, I'm going to sort of introduce a topic and focus on the problems rather than the sort of everything goes well stories. I mean, because problems are more sort of important than these things. And what I'll do then is I'll invite anyone to share experiences and perhaps solutions which they have found to these problems, some of which I'll bring up myself. So I'm a fairly new radio amateur, but I do have a fair amount of different handhelds, most of which I got second-hand, and different brands, including Chinese as well as Japanese standard, mainstream Japanese ones. And I've had a fair amount of trials and tribulations trying to program them directly from a PC. I mean, manually they're fine, but getting to program from a PC offers a number of advantages. So first of all, I mean, I think there are 4 things besides radio which UX will need. By the way, I'll pause occasionally because of the repeater. Let it pause now. Okay, so the 4 things which I believe everyone needs are an operating system, so we have to decide what operating system we're going to use. Now, most of the software out there is written for Windows, but you can do programming on Linux and Mac as well. Yeah, you need the correct software, obviously, for your radio. But the most 2 problematic things which you usually come across are that you need a proper cable and a proper software driver for that cable, rather for the chip on that cable, for what's called the UART chip on that cable. Now, there are 2 general types of cables. Cloning cables usually allow you to replicate the settings of one radio on an identical model. So they actually connect radio to radio and allow you to transfer all channel programming from one radio to an identical model. Those are pretty straightforward. There's no computer in the middle. As long as you have the correct cable, you can connect to two transceivers and just transmit the data from one to the other. The way you do it depends on the actual transceiver in question. Then there are the PC cables, which connect between your PC and transceiver. Here one enters into the multitude of different types of cables and different types of connectors, which connect to different types of radios. One also here meets the problem of cost, because buying original cables is sometimes fairly expensive. So usually these cables, not usually, these cables contain a chip. Allows transmission between your USB port and the actual radio. Okay, it's called the UART chip. And there are four main companies which make these chips. A company called FTDI, Tango Delta India. Then there are the WCH, Whiskey Charlie Hotel, Silicon Lab chips, and there are the Prolific chips. So you can buy cables which contain any one of these four chips. Now the FTDI, WCH, and the Silicon Labs, those are fine. They're the least problematic. When you buy an original cable, usually they contain one of those. Let me pause again. The issue is that most generic cables, so not cables that you buy from the manufacturers directly, but generic cables, contain the Prolific chip. Mainly because this tends to be the lowest cost chip. More important than that, this chip so there are several clones and unofficial pirates of this chip running around. What Prolific tried to do in order to clones in their newer drivers, Prolific have designed ways for their newer drivers to recognize cloned chips. So what happens is that you plug in a cheap cable, which you might have the same correct physical connectors, but happens to have a Prolific chip. You plug it into your computer, it identifies what it thinks is the correct driver for the chip. It's not. The driver recognizes that the chip is a pirate and refuses to work. So eventually you don't get a link between your computer and your radio. There are ways to go around this. For example, with Prolific, any driver prior to version 3.2 doesn't recognize the pirated chips. But that means that you have to download that driver and install it and prevent Windows from actually upgrading it to what it thinks is a newer one. Another issue is that if you have multiple radios with different cables, and some cables have got an FTDI chip, some cables have got a Silicon Labs chip, some cables have got a Prolific chip, you need all the drivers installed. Okay. Now, from my experience, not all these drivers tend to live happily with each other on the same PC. Sometimes you do get clashes with them, and you can see these clashes in Device Manager on Windows. So I have ended up in a situation whereby some radios I program on one PC, some radios I program on another. I also have a Linux machine, and on Linux, strangely enough, I tend to get a better success rate than I do with Windows, even with the prolific chips. Cheap. Sometimes you can buy programming cables for, $5 off eBay or whatever. I mean, these obviously not originals. These have worked for me on Linux out of the box. You can also buy cables which actually have got about 10 different connectors for different types of radios. So one USB plug going to a small connection box from which I emanate about 10 different short cables with a different connector at the end of each cable, a sort of spider setup. Hopefully one of those will be compatible with your radio. Very often, looking at the connector on a radio doesn't give you all the information you need. For example, some radios have got a 3.5 millimeter jack type connector. That could be a 2-pole, a 3-pole, or a 4-pole. Most commonly it's a 3-pole or a 4-pole. But the socket from the outside looks the same. You have to know which plug to put in there. The effect of having the wrong driver or the wrong plug are various. I've had experience whereby you just get no link or no comfort recognized by the computer, or else you do get a link, but when you actually try to start transferring data, the process halts, so the meter just hangs up. What I've had recently was with actual data being transferred between the radio and my PC, but getting complete garbage. So literally the software receiving useless and meaningless symbols and characters straight into the fields of the respective software I was using. This is something which I haven't seen before. Usually it doesn't work. This time I was actually getting the data transfer, but it was not a matter of adjusting baud rates, because you can adjust baud rates from your PC, or adjusting. You can fine-tune the USB settings in terms of UART control, if it's hardware or software control. You can do that. In this case, it didn't solve the problem. In terms of software, companies will provide you with free software which you can download from their website. And that's talking about the original company software. Let me pause again. Okay, that was the 9H5, 9H1 UHF RDP, 9H RDP announcing itself. So some companies will give you free software which you can download for some of their radios. Talk about analog radios, because for digital radios, DMR or C4FM, if you want to use the full features, then you need to use the original software which comes with the radio. The software which you get from companies is usually fine, but from my experience it's a bit limited. If you want especially to transfer your channel programming from one radio to another. Chinese software tends to be a bit iffy in particular, but standard mainstream Japanese applications for Japanese brands are fine. There is also third-party software which you can purchase. There is a company which, easy to find if you Google, makes custom software for several brands, including cables, which I have not tried, but which have fairly good reports and feedback comments on the internet. And there is probably the most common software which everyone seems to use, which is Chirp. It is open source. It's been developed for Windows, Mac, and Linux, and it's been developed significantly over the past years. 350 radios. Today, this morning, I actually did a manual count, and there are 350 radios supported by Chirp. Different models of radios supported by Chirp, which are handheld, some of which are mobile models. Chirp developers are fairly active as well. There are updates being carried out very frequently. Chirp also offers some limited support for some digital radios, at least for the analog component of some digital radios. For example, you'll find support for the FT1D, FT2D, and FT3D C4FM radios. At least you can program, I've tried that to do my FT1D, at least you can program the analog part of that radio, okay, with Chirp, which is actually very useful. I've got some experience with Chirp, basically. Without going into the nitty-gritty of how it works, and it's very straightforward. It's like sort of literally filling in information into a spreadsheet, connecting it to your radio as long as you got the correct cable and correct the driver transferring it to your radio. However, there are some small issues. When you program a radio via software, what happens there is that the radio contains an image, a block of memory, which includes all the channel programming, but also includes some of the radio settings. Whether our display is showing channel mode or frequency mode or VFO mode. Things like perhaps the backlight color of your radio. So these things are usually also transferred to your PC when you transfer the memory image from your radio to your PC. So it is always recommendable, if you have a new radio, to first transfer the image from radio to your PC, fill in all your channels on that image, and transfer it back to the radio. Do not start with a blank image on your PC and just transfer it to the radio. Starting off with a blank image on the PC and transferring it to the radio might overwrite other radio settings. And these can include things even at better squelch levels. So it's usually good practice if you have a new radio, first download the image from the radio to your software to Chirp, whatever you want to edit, and re-upload back to the radio. Another thing which sometimes messes things up is that several radios appear identical on the outside, but they have some small tweaks in the way that their settings are organized internally. So transferring images from one model of radio, I'm especially talking about Chinese radios here, different brands or a slightly different model of radio sometimes messes things up as well. If you want to do that, what I have been doing, if I want to transfer, say, several channels from one radio to another, what I have been doing is that I download the image to the software, to Chirp, I export the channel list into a CSV file, a comma-separated variable, and import that CSV file into the image of my second radio. Upload that to my second radio. So I'm always dealing with the proper radio memory images and not uploading one image to another, which although might seem similar but might not be identical. So basically, I do not want to take more time on air, but these were the sort of highlights which I would mention, and I'd like to invite anyone who has any experience to share his experience along these same lines. There are some issues which may not be solved completely. For example, Chirp has got a list of radios on its website for which it knows, or they have been reported there are some problems with programs. So it's very useful to regularly consult the Chirp website in order to be able to use it to its full extent. Besides Chirp, there's another website I pause there for the repeater. Besides Chirp, there's another website which is very informative, which is a website called Miclor. So it's Mike India Kilo Lima Oscar Romeo. Especially this contains a lot of information and driver issues for Chinese radios, which seem to be very popular. And when it comes to digital radios, the MAR radios, for example, those require their own code plug. So you can't just transfer the code plug of one radio to a different radio. Well, you can in some situations if the radios are very similar to each other. But you have to follow exactly what the manufacturer says. There's the Mike Delta 380 and Mike Delta 390, which are very similar to each other. There are some, I believe there are some, I only have the Mike Delta 390, but I believe that there are some fine differences between them, which, at least with the newer firmware, correct me if I'm wrong, not allow one code plug designed for one to be actually uploaded to the other. So when it comes to C4 FM radios, there again, you need, if you want to program the digital components, ideally you would need the software, which so with C4 FM radios, you ideally would need the software manufacturer for that particular radio, or third-party software made for the radio. At least that is from my experience with C4 FM. I'd like to terminate here and pass back to net control, and I do invite anyone who would like to discuss or provide some feedback on this topic, and perhaps provide any problems or solutions. By any means, what I've proposed here isn't complete in any way. And I think we can sort of gain from each other's experiences, so please go ahead. Thank you very much. Kilo Charlie 1 November, Oscar Charlie, net control. This is 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Alpha.
9 Hotel 5, Fox Alpha. Anthony, thank you very much for that presentation. Me, myself, I have Anytone radios for DMR. I have the 878 handheld, and I have the 578 UV3 Pro. I'm pretty good with the code plugs on that. So if anybody has any of those particular Anytone radios, feel free to email me. My email is on QRZ, and also my webpage, which is kc1noc.com. If you'd email me about that, I would be happy to help you. That's now with Anytone radios for DMR. I also run D-Star, and I also do C4 FM with the Yaesu radios and the ICOM radios for D-Star. On those radios, I personally like the RT system software. That's Romeo Tango. You can get that from them. It's an online download. I think it's $25 if you already have the cables for that. I like that because you can actually download a whole code plug that will list all of your local frequencies and repeaters and whatnot. So I personally use that. I'm not promoting them. That's just what I prefer. So let me take a pause for a second and see if we have any further check-ins, and then I'll check with stations to find out if they have any comments or any questions for Anthony. This is KC1NOC, tonight's net control station for the 9H-HAM GlobalNet. Do we have any other check-ins? Please call now. Okay, with no further check-ins, thank you again, Anthony. If there's any stations out there that have a question or a comment for Anthony, 9 Hotel 5 Fox Alpha, please direct your traffic to him and try to leave a 5-second pause in between overs. That way it gives our different links and repeaters a time to catch up, and we don't have any traffic jams. So any questions or anything about Anthony's presentation, please call now and call Anthony directly. Okay, I didn't hear anything, so I'll give one more chance. Any questions or comments about Anthony's presentation? Please call now. Okay, with no additional traffic or comments for the net, this is Dave, KC1NOC, tonight's net control operator for the 9H-HAM GlobalNet, 9H GlobalNet. This public service net meets every 2 weeks on Thursday night at 8 p.m. local time. I would like to thank the discussion host for tonight's presentation, 9H5 Fox Alpha Anthony. Thank you, sir. I would also like to thank the repeater trustees for the use of their repeater, and to everyone who has checked in to tonight's net. Amateur Radio Newsline will be broadcast on the 9H-HAM YouTube page immediately after the net. This is KC1NOC. I'm wishing everybody 73s, and it was a real pleasure hosting your net, and thank you to everyone. I am now returning the use of this repeater and all link repeaters back to normal amateur radio use. This is Dave, KC1NOC. 73s to everyone, and good evening.
Good night, Dave.
From
Thank
Amateur
you.
Radio Newsline Report number 2273, this is Ham Nation Headlines for Wednesday, May 26, 2021. For our top story this week, we look skyward. Hams and others with an amateur interest in astronomy have been tracking the journey of the rover that China sent to Mars.
Although the China National Space Administration remained tight-lipped about its Tianwen-1 mission, which landed that nation's first rover on Mars, amateur astronomers had been monitoring the spacecraft's signals intensely. They were listening for encouraging signs regarding the deployed capsule that was carrying the rover Zhurong to the planet's surface. The Chinese rover's arrival on May 15th, which was Friday, May 14th in the U.S., follows the arrival of the American's Perseverance rover in February. While Zhurong goes about its business on the surface of Mars, the Chinese orbiter will be relaying signals between ground controllers in China and the rover. Zhurong is equipped with cameras, a magnetic field detector, ground-penetrating radar, and a weather station. Having landed on Mars, China's next venture into space will be sending 3 astronauts to the nation's new space station. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Paul Brown, WD9GCO.
Hams, start your engines, or at least your rigs. There's a special event getting underway for the big car races in Indianapolis.
When it comes to special events, the W9IMS Special Event Station for the Indianapolis 500-mile race is second to none. For the 18th year in a row, the W9IMS team is tuning up and listening for contacts for the 3 Indianapolis races. The amateur radio race team will be active on 20 and 40 meters for the 105th running of the Indianapolis 500-mile race, May 30th. They will be on the air beginning May 23rd through race day. The eager guys and girls just finished a week logging contacts for the IndyCar Grand Prix. In August, they will fire up the radios for another week of sideband contacts leading up to the Brickyard 400. Making contact with the W9IMS Special Event Station will get you an original designed QSL card. If you make contact for each race, you are also eligible for a special race certificate. For more details, check out W9IMS on QRZ.com. Reporting from Indianapolis, home of the famed 2.5-mile oval, this is Jack Parker, W8ISH.
Disasters can and do strike at all times of the year. In one rural region of Virginia, radio operators have developed a plan that musters enough communication strength to cover the emergency needs of 4 rural counties.
The group of hams is small, but their agenda is ambitious. They're organizing so they can assist with hazard mitigation in 4 small counties located less than 75 miles southeast of Washington, D.C. In this mostly rural area, hurricanes, ice storms, and flooding are all realities, as is the Lake Anna nuclear power plant. R3MCOM, as this startup group is known, has a core group of about a dozen volunteers working closely together. Many are also members of the Culpeper Amateur Radio Association. Their goal is to keep an eye on Culpeper, Orange, Madison, and Rappahannock counties. Program Director for Administration Mike Murphy, KD7PUF, told Newsline, quote, "We want to reinvent what we do, providing service, education, and training to a larger community than just those who want to be hams," end quote. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Christian Kudnick, K0STH.
There are only hours remaining in the nomination period for the 2021 Bill Pasternak WA6ITF Amateur Radio Newsline Young Ham of the Year Award. Please visit arnewsline.org and click the Awards tab. Download, complete, and email the form to newsline@arnewsline.org before midnight Eastern, Monday, May 31st. We'll present the award at the Huntsville Ham Fest on August 21st. Hurry, time is running out. And that's all from the Amateur Radio Newsline, your independent source for amateur radio news for 4 decades and counting at arnewsline.org. With Paul Brown, WD9GCO, Jack Parker, W8ISH, Christian Kudnick, K0STH, Karen Eve Murray, KD2GUT at the news desk in New York, and our news team across the globe. I'm Don Wellbanks, AE5DW. 7-3. We'll see you next time here on Ham Nation.
Amateur Radio Newsline Report number 2274, with the release date of Friday, May 28, 2021, to follow in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The following is a QST. Hams mobilize in search for a preteen boy. There are 6 new inductees in the CQ Hall of Fame. And Bletchley Park is reopening. All this and more as Amateur Radio Newsline Report number 2274 comes your way right now.
From around the world, this is Newsline, Amateur Radio's first independent on-the-air news and bulletin service. Now reporting from Charleston, West Virginia, here's Jim Dameron, NATMW.
We begin this week's report with an account of amateur radio responsiveness in a human drama that turned to tragedy. A sweeping search for a missing 12-year-old boy with autism, which ended with the discovery of his body in the Little Calumet River. Members of the Amateur Radio Association of Newton County, Indiana, were among the hundreds of volunteers aiding the search for Kyron Carter, the Mississippi youth who was last seen on May 15th leaving the Indiana hotel where his family had been staying. Club President Mike Swader, KA9E, told Newsline that the Hams provided VHF digital communications and GPS for the Northwest Indiana's K-9 search and rescue teams, serving as their communications branch. Working inside the association's mobile communications unit, the Hams logged coordinates from the teams while they were deployed, providing digital tracking to help create a search map. Meanwhile, other searchers were deployed on foot, on horseback, by helicopter, and by boat, and were joined by the FBI and police from Indiana and nearby Illinois. On Monday, May 24th, the body of the little boy was found in the river, and dive teams pulled him out. By then, Mike said the Hams team had been demobilized because the nature of the search had changed. They learned of the boy's death through their liaison to local law enforcement. Hams are being invited to help honor the last surviving recipient of the most prestigious military award given after World War II. Kevin Trotman, N5PRE, tells us how.
Not everyone has a United States Navy warship commissioned in their honor. But Herschel Woody Williams, a U.S. Marine Corps veteran and Medal of Honor recipient, was present in Norfolk, Virginia for just such a ceremony last year. This year, amateur radio operators are planning a unique gesture of their own at the birthday reception for Woody. Woody, the nation's last surviving recipient of the Medal of Honor from World War II, turns 98 on October 2nd. Donna Snow, W5SML, known for the American reality TV show Texas Flippin' Move, has begun collecting QSL cards and birthday greetings to be presented to him at the reception in Texas on October 13th. Woody received the Medal for Bravery during the Battle of Iwo Jima. He continues his service through the Woody Williams Foundation, which assists Gold Star families, people whose family members have lost their lives in service to their country. Amateur radio operators who want to help honor Woody can send a QSL card with their wishes to the address at the bottom of Donna's page on QRZ.com. Donna also writes, quote, Don't worry about sending too many. I have big trailers, end quote. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Kevin Trotman, N5PRE.
Woody is from right here in West Virginia, I'm proud to add. If you could contact Samuel F.B. Morse, what would you tell him? Newsline's Randy Sly, W4XJ, posed that question to mark an important anniversary.
On May 24, 1844, Samuel F.B. Morse sent the first telegraph message from Washington, D.C. to Alfred Vail in Baltimore, Maryland. In addition to helping invent the telegraph, Morse also invented the code he sent. Today, the preservation of Morse code has been left primarily in the hands of amateur radio operators. On this anniversary, Amateur Radio Newsline asked a few hams what they would say to Samuel Morse if he were alive today. Howard Bernstein, WB2UZE, co-founder of the Long Island CW Club, said, "Thank you so much for having the forethought and vision to create one of the most internationally beneficial modes of communication still in use 177 years later." Steve Szabo, WB4OMM of the North American QRP-CW Club, said, "No one could have envisioned the future communications technology that you originated. I'm in awe that low-power Morse code using a simple transceiver and a wire can span the globe." Finally, Stu Rolfe, GW0ETF, president of the CW Operators Club, said, "Well, Sam, I bet you never thought your simple code would be heard across the airwaves well into the 21st century, kept alive and lovingly cared for by a bunch of hobbyists in pretty much every country of the world." For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Randy Sly, W4XJ. Thank you, Mr. Morse, for giving us the original digital mode.
Enthusiasts of code and of history are grateful to learn that Bletchley Park and the National Radio Center are reopening in Great Britain. Jeremy Boot, G4NJH, tells us more.
Bletchley Park, which was the heart and soul of code breaking during World War II, has reopened its doors to visitors as pandemic restrictions become less stringent in Great Britain. At the same time, the National Radio Centre of the Radio Society of Great Britain, which is located within the historical site, will resume its own array of activities. It reopens daily from Friday the 28th of May and will offer demonstrations of amateur radio from the GB3RS station. Visitors may observe operations, but for now will not be permitted in the radio room. The welcome being extended by Bletchley is being delivered cautiously, however, in accordance with COVID-19 safety guidelines. Visitors are being asked to book their visits in advance by going online and selecting a predetermined time for entry. From the 7th of June, Bletchley Park will also welcome educational groups who will again be able to make use of on-site resources. For details or to book a visit, see bletchleypark.org.uk. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Jeremy Boot, G4NJH.
The former owner of a successful ham radio supply center in Minnesota has become a silent key. Kent Peterson, KC0DGY, tells us about him.
Richard Filstrom, W0TLE, a lifelong radio amateur in the Minneapolis area and creator of a business that served local amateurs in the 1980s, has become a silent key. A veteran of the U.S. Navy, Dick became a licensed ham in 1965, receiving the call sign WN0NHL shortly before entering military service. When he left the Navy, he was hired by Electronic Center in Minneapolis, reporting to Ward Jensen, who became his ham radio mentor. At Electronic Center, Dick eventually became manager of the business ham radio department. By 1980, he had purchased the department and opened in North Minneapolis as Midwest Amateur Radio Supply. 4 years later, he left the business to begin to work for various companies dealing in supercomputers, and eventually left the industry to work for a medical supply company. Dick was a charter member of the Handy Hams organization, which serves amateurs with disabilities, a life member of the ARRL, and a member of the Quarter Century Wireless Association. Dick died on May 8th at the age of 76. His call sign had formerly belonged to his mentor, Ward Jensen, W0TLE. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Kent Peterson, KC0DGY.
There are some familiar names being added to the CQ Amateur Radio Hall of Fame this year, and Stephen Kinford, NAWB, tells us who they are.
6 amateur radio operators have been added to the CQ Amateur Radio Hall of Fame, which honors individuals who have made prominent contributions to the community, either as hams or through their professional careers. This year's inductees, announced on Friday, May 21st, include Archibald Dottie, W7ACD, a silent key, a co-founder of the second oldest college radio station in the U.S. He was also heavily involved in research into vertical antennas. Other inductees include Nathaniel Frizzle, W2NAF, founder of Ham Radio Science, Citizen Investigation, and organizer of the 2017 Solar Eclipse QSO Party. Another honoree is concert pianist Lauren Hollander, WA1PGB, who augments work as a performer with deep involvement in music and arts education. CQ is also honoring former ARRL Counsel and General Counsel Christopher Imley, W3KD. Noted propagation researcher Catherine Mitchell, M0IBG, and Admiral Charles Richard W4HFZ, commander of USS TRATCOM, the United States Strategic Command, one of 11 unified commands of the Department of Defense. The Hall, created in 2001, now has a total of 339 members. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Stephen Kinford, N8WB.
Time for you to identify your station. We are the Amateur Radio Newsline, heard on bulletin stations around the world, as well as anytime on demand through the Ham Shack hotline system. Choose extension 7008, option 1. Congrats to Amateur Radio Newsline's Young Ham of the Year for 2020, Chris Brault, KD8YVJ. The ARRL announced that he was among the more than 200 deserving winners of scholarships through the ARRL Foundation. Chris is the recipient of a $10,000 Amateur Radio Digital Communications Scholarship. Chris will be attending St. Louis University with a major in aeronautics and a minor in computer science. He's also weeks away from earning his private pilot license. We here at Amateur Radio Newsline wish this deserving young amateur all the best. Speaking of the Young Ham of the Year Award, May 31st at midnight Eastern Time is the deadline to submit your nominations for this year's recipient. If you know of an outstanding licensed radio amateur under the age of 18 in the U.S., Canada, or any of the U.S. possessions, please download the nomination form from our website, complete it, and mail it back to newsline@arnewsline.org. The award will be presented at the Huntsville Hamfest in Alabama in August. What's better than having boats in the water? Try having boats on the air. Well, one group in California is making it happen. Dave Parks, WB8ODF, explains.
In the same tradition as POTA, SOTA, and IOTA, now there's BOTA, that is Boats on the Air, an activation that its organizers hope will set sail as an activity worldwide. The inaugural Boats on the Air is leaving the dock on Saturday, June 5th, and the operators of the San Francisco Amateur Radio Club will be activating watercraft of all kinds. For the organizers, including Kent Carter, AJ6NI, the floating shack will be a sailboat called the Araya. Part of the challenge, he said, is to bring mobile ham radio gear into a marine environment and get on FM, AM, CW, SSB, digital voice, or digital data modes. Chasers and activators will be on the air for 3 hours beginning at 2000 UTC. A boat is considered to be activated if it completes 4 QSOs. The event website says, quote, "Join us to activate any moving floating object on any body of water," end quote. In short, that means the boat can be powered by a motor, by sail, even by human effort. Or, well, use your imagination. In other words, whatever floats your boat. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Dave Parks, WB8ODF.
Changes are coming to some awards being given by the Radio Society of Great Britain. Jeremy Boot, G4NJH, gives us details.
The RSGB will be merging the 50 MHz Two-Way Countries Award and the 50 MHz DX Countries Award soon, having determined that the two awards significantly duplicate one another. The new award will be released as the 50 MHz Countries Award, and it will retain the incremental levels of award present in the two it will replace. hams who have been working towards either of the current 50 megahertz awards will have until the end of this year to complete them, while the RSGB works towards launching the new award. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Jeremy Bucci for NJH.
Here in the U.S., a popular D-Star net is starting check-ins 2 hours earlier and has big plans to get involved in emergency response. Here's Andy Morrison, K9AWM, with those details.
The Illinois D-Star net is on the move. Starting on Wednesday, June 2nd, it is starting 2 hours earlier. Hams will be able to check in at 7 p.m. Central Time. Net Control Stephen Rainers, KC9SIO, told Newsline that there are two benefits to moving the time of the net, which meets on reflector 51D. Stephen said he is hoping that the move will attract new members, bring back many of the original ones, and fulfill the net's original mission to foster conversation among stations throughout the state. He said the other goal of the move is to have the net join a statewide system for emergency communications, eventually attracting the participation by hams in all 102 counties. Meanwhile, the KB0ZSG International D-Star Net continues to take check-ins on Sundays at 7 p.m. Central Time in the U.S. on reflector 91C. The net carries the name and call sign of founder Connie Ballantyne, who became a silent key in February 2020. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Andy Morrison, K9AWM.
If you can't wait for the ARRL Field Day, you don't have to. The 100 Watts and a Wire community is encouraging hams to go portable on June 11th through June 13th as part of the annual tune-up activity. It's a way to test your portable antennas and stations in preparation for the big event. If you don't have a portable station, you can still get on the air. Work as an individual or as part of a team operating on any band and in any mode. The exchange is your call sign, your 100-watt ID if you have one, your state, province, or DX country, and a true signal report. Hams in West Bengal, India have helped an older man find his way back to his family in another Indian state. Jason Daniels, VK2LAW, brings us up to date.
Amateur radio operators in West Bengal, India, are working to return a 70-year-old grandfather to his home and family in Uttar Pradesh. The man has become a familiar face to villagers for the past 7 months because of his seemingly non-stop work weeding patches on the sides of the roads, cleaning drainage ditches, and tidying up around the banks of ponds. According to a newspaper account, he earned the name Clean Grandpa from the local residents who watched him work. Hams in West Bengal became involved after one of the local council members took a photo of the man doing his clean-up work and shared it on social media. Hams saw the photo and contacted local officials about him. The officials were able to track down the man's relatives. The family was making plans for their reunion with the man and to bring him home. The man's return home is being coordinated by club member Arnab Roy Chaudhuri, VU3JWN. Area residents told the newspaper they were sorry to see him leave, saying he did a better job cleaning up the village than any government workers could have done. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Jason Daniels, VK2LAW.
Finally, we ask, what's in a name? Plenty, if you're trying to name a spacecraft that's expected to have its moment in the sun. Graham Kemp, VK4BB, brings us the last story of this week.
Nothing may be new under the sun, but something new will soon be out in space, keeping a vigilant eye on solar activity. The European Space Agency is designing a solar storm hunting spacecraft that can spot eruptions known as coronal mass ejections before they reach the Earth. When the spacecraft detects danger, it will transmit an alert that allows us to prepare for what's to come here on Earth. The ESA is calling the spacecraft the world's first mission to provide solar warning. But for now, that's all the agency is able to call it because the craft doesn't have a name. Well, not yet anyway. Here's where the rest of us can step in. The ESA wants us to help name the spacecraft, which will join us in watching sunspots form and will track propagation of solar events before the end of the decade. Use the ESA website to enter the name of your choice. You have until the 17th of October. Just bear in mind you can't submit names that have already been used for other missions. Sending those to the ESA for consideration will surely get you a bunch of coronal mass rejections. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Graham Kemp, VK4BB.
With thanks to Amateur News Weekly, the ARRL, AutoEvolution.com, Bletchley Park CQ Magazine, David Behar, K7DB, the European Space Agency, Kent Carter, AJ6NI, Legacy.com, Mike Swader, KA9E, NW Indiana Times, Ohio Penn DX Newsletter, QCWA, QRZ.com, Radio Society of Great Britain, Rex King, W5EAK, Stephen Reiners, KC9SIO, Southgate Amateur Radio News, shortwaveradio.de, Ted Randall's QSO Radio Show, WTWW Shortwave, and you, our listeners. That's all from the Amateur Radio Newsline. Please send emails to our address at newsline@arnewsline.org. More information is available at Amateur Radio Newsline's only official website at arnewsline.org. Be sure to follow some of these stories as they get a more in-depth look on the YouTube channel of 100 Watts and a Wire. Search for the video segment with the title 2 Stories. For now, with Karen Eve Murray, KD2GUT at the news desk in New York, and our news team worldwide, I'm Jim Dameron, N8TMW in Charleston, West Virginia, saying 73. And as always, we thank you for listening. Amateur Radio Newsline is copyright 2021, all rights reserved.